Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a bit of a quick tip regarding Excel. A lot of us, whether we're Access developers or power users or whatever, quite often need to extract data from Excel. And a lot of times, we're going to work and we're going to try to develop equations and things like that. But that isn't always the most efficient way. That isn't necessarily the best way of working. It always comes down to your needs, obviously, but sometimes there are other alternatives that we can use, and I wanted to show one of them to you today that can accelerate data extraction in some scenarios. So what I have here is just a listing of 100 names randomly generated online. And what I want to do is I want to split this off. So I want to get, the title, first name, middle name, last name, but I want them to be in separate columns. That way we have proper data normalization. We can port it into, an Access database properly, because you never want to have something like this in a database. Even in Excel, I wouldn't normally store data like this. So how am I going to go about this? Now, normally, we'd start getting into all sorts of string parsing functions, build up an equation for each of the 4 columns, and then you'd spread that column down to fill all of the rows. That's time consuming. And, if this is a one-off, we don't need to go through all that pain. So let me just show you another approach. What we do is we basically give the computer, Excel, an example. So I'm just going to retype at the top here an example of what I'm looking for. So there you go. We have our example. Now what I'm going to do normally, now I'll come down here and I'll select the entire column next to the rows that I'm interested in, and I'll do Ctrl+E. That performs an autofill, and I'll do that for each of the columns. Ctrl+E, Ctrl+E. And now I have instantaneously split all of my data into 4 separate columns, and I didn't write a single function, I didn't a single equation, but yet I have my data. As you can see here, there is no equation. We haven't built an expression. We haven't used any parsing functions or anything like that. It was able to recognize, based on what I had done, basically what I was after. So the computer was smart enough to understand I'm basically breaking it when there's spaces. And it doesn't have to be spaces. It could be serial numbers with hyphens and whatever. Just as long as you give 1 or 2 examples that make it obvious enough that it can then do an autofill for the rest. So let's say we wanted to do the inverse. We've got multiple columns. I don't want to write an equation. I don't want to have an expression here. Don't get me wrong, it's not complicated, but why? So I will give it an example, and let's flip it for fun. Mr. Edward Ryan Long. So you'll see the order of the columns makes no difference. Okay, that isn't what's controlling this. We'll come down here, we'll select them all and do a Ctrl+E, and there we have them all. We could also similarly do it properly. If we didn't want to mess it up, we could do Mr. Ryan Edward Long. We'll come here, come down, select them all, Ctrl+E, and there you have it. They've all been done. So you can use it in any direction, whether it's to break information or combine. You can use this autofill in any capacity you need. And like I said, it doesn't have to be spaces. If we just delete all of this for a second, just to make it easier for us, and let's say I don't want to have spaces. I wanted to have hyphens. It's no big deal. It's that easy. Come back, select them all, Ctrl+E. Now it's all hyphens. So it isn't particular as to what character. You just have to define a format once or twice, then it can define a pattern basically, and then it takes over from there and just will autofill the rest of the selected cells with the matching pattern. So there you have it, just a quick tip, very easy. Basically define a pattern and then apply the pattern throughout using Ctrl+E. Hope this helps a few of you simplify your life, especially I find when we're dealing with things like this, when we're trying to split, parse. I find this is very effective. Combining, I probably could have written the expression in the same time it took. But when it comes to parsing, when you really have these complex strings, this really makes short work of the entire thing, the entire process. Like always, like, share, subscribe, be greatly appreciated. Any support you can show me, and we will see you in the next video, everyone. Take care.